I was reading that recently. The band posted on Facebook something ironically saying, "Hey, thanks everyone who's trying to take credit for getting us back together." I'd like to ask you guys, what was the real driving force that made you guys come back together again?
Actually, it had a lot to do with Paul Tollett of Coachella. Mm-hmm. You know, he started talking about it. It seemed real. So at that point, I just, you know, told my people that they could go ahead and start talking to people and mm-hmm. see what's going on. And then as it became more real, then I text Fernando and asked for Slash's number, and then Fernando texts his mom and is like, "If this is a joke, I'm going to kill you."
But when you guys signed up for Coachella, did you think at the time it was going to be a one-off kind of thing, and then only later it developed into a full tour?
No, it started with talking about Coachella, but at the same time that those talks were starting, there were people involved with Coachella, agencies and things. So they were having these conversations about what they could possibly do or not. So it was all being considered.
So both of you already had it in mind that, well, this might end up turning into a full-blown tour.
We started talking like in the spring, didn't we? Yeah. I mean, but it's like everybody's people were finding out about possibilities and things like that, and then we started talking together in the spring and stuff.
Yeah, I've heard. Go ahead.
It was just, you know, getting into rehearsals. It was really just kind of like one day at a time. I don't know that I thought too much about how far ahead. It was just really cool to play some of that music with the guys I was playing it with.
Right. I've read comments you guys have made about the current state of the music industry, and I have a question about that. Let's say if you guys were, let's say, 17 at this day and age, the exact same guys you were 30 years ago, do you think the whole environment of music, of the business, would allow a band like Guns N' Roses to be born?
I don't know. I don't recall what I've said about the state of music.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
I don't know what I would, you know, be gravitating towards out there, and what medium I would be listening to it in. I mean, you meet people that, you know, some listen to the radio, other people are like, "What's radio?" You know, now.
Yeah.
Other people listen to internet radio,
streaming services.
Yeah, streaming services. Or some people like collect CDs, you know, and some people collect cassettes now, you know. And
yeah.
So I don't know where I would be, what I'd be gravitating towards.
And I have 18 and 16-year-old daughters, so I'm so informed by what. It's not about me, you know. We're like, it shouldn't be about me either. It's what their experience is and what like their streaming service turns them on to, and there's this whole underground scene again where people are playing instruments and going to these little shows. And I've gone to a couple with them. It's a whole new thing that we might have recognized, maybe. I'm not sure.
In LA, you mean?
Hey, on the West Coast.
On the West Coast.
I've seen, yeah, gone to a couple different
small
things.
clubs, that kind of
Small. Yeah, there's a place called The Smell, and it's like on Skid Row, and it smells, and and it's $5 to get in. And
CBGBs all over again.
ish. Yeah, but the kids, you know, they take like Uber there.
All right. A little bit different.
Yeah.
Right. Do you go out to see music, Axl, at all?
Not lots, no. I'm not, oddly, I guess, I'm not really a live performance guy. But I'd rather watch sports on TV rather than, most of the time, than go to an actual game. I'd rather, because I like the close-ups and all of that. So I'll watch some things if it's filmed, but I'm not so much seeing things live a whole lot.
Talking about small venues, what was it like for you guys to be back at the Troubadour and do a Guns N' Roses show?
Straight for about a song and a half.
When you broke your foot.
Yeah. He broke his foot, second song, man.
But you went on, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you realize had broken?
Yeah, I was pretty sure I did.
Yeah, you said it. You said it. I think I broke
I was
my foot.
pretty sure I did.
Okay.
You know, and because my sister had just broken her leg a few months before, and she'd made this comment. She goes, you know, when you break something, you know. And all of a sudden on stage, I was like, she's right. You you know. And then, yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing dates in November in Brazil. And of course, Axl, you have these very strong Brazilian connections, so to speak. The whole family that's so close to you. For those who are watching us who may not be very familiar with that story, could you sum it up for us? Your Brazilian
Well,
connections?
I've been enslaved for several years now by a Brazilian family that torture me, and they make me go do sing and stuff.
Go back to Guns N' Roses?
Yeah, you know, they whip me. No.
No, seriously.
No. I met Betta in '91 and her family, and then we've been together in ways since then, you know, and Betta's been a big help with everything behind the scenes with Guns N' Roses, and her family's been very supportive. Fernando has worked his way up in this business, doing all kinds of things, you know, with Guns N' Roses, but also with other companies and things, and you know, been everything from doing baggage and wardrobe to being a tour manager and stuff, and doing the jobs well. So, and he's also worked with all the managers that I've worked with and learned from them, and knows also how to communicate with them. So, it seems to be something that, you know, they like to be involved with, and it helps everything, and plus they're a big family, you know, and I like the family environment, and it helps keep things kind of insular.
Cool. And you guys are talking, I've heard talk of a possible new record. You have new material. I think you have shown stuff to both Duff and Slash. Does it, for someone who comes from my generation, we're pretty much the same generation, does it bother you that your new record might not be available physically, that there won't be like a real CD? Or even if there is a real CD, people will probably listen to it online on streaming services. How do you deal with that new environment?
It doesn't bother me. Except for in terms of like if you're interested in, say, the, you know, album art and stuff. In ways I can get it, because I think that in some ways there were not as many artists doing a lot with the artwork of the album that you can't just do in photos somewhere.
But that was something you gave a lot of thought to, right? The right cover.
Try to.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's gone now. How do you?
Well, I'm an observationalist in this, and I've been the person in my house going, you gotta buy if it's Joan Jett, you like buy the record, and I'm looked at like I'm an alien. Like that's one extra button to push. You know, that's it. And the art is really secondary, and they experience their music a whole different way. And so, but I think there is that, like Ax said, like people are now, again, collecting cassettes and vinyl. Like I see 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds getting a record and looking at the things. So that might just be a niche, but, you know, it's all about streaming. And
you have collaborated over those years when you, after Guns N' Roses split, so to speak. You have collaborated both with Slash and Axl. But Axl and Slash hadn't played together or been together for quite a long time. I'd like to ask you what it was like, the moment when you actually got together with Slash for this reunion. Was it at someone's house? Was it on a phone call? What was it like? Was it awkward?
What do you mean? Do you mean playing together, or do you mean
just being together in the same room, even before playing?
Well, like I said, I had asked for his number, and then I'd called him, and he was on tour or something, and then we set up when we were going to see each other, and I think something happened to both of our plans that didn't happen, and then eventually in like October we got together, we had a dinner at my house, and then Duff and I went and hung out right after that, like a week or so after. And then it was just kind of like talking and planning. You know, initially we were going to do some kind of promos and stuff, and then other things came up that got in the way of that. And then there was rehearsals, and you know, went down to rehearsal, and everything just sounded right, and you know, and just went to work. You know, it was time to sing, see what the sound sounded like and stuff, and get ready for the show, and it was all working. You know, so.
Do you think that each one of you, I mean the three of you, had to change a bit? Something has changed inside for this to be happening? Or again, do you think it ended up happening naturally?
I really got to discover in the best of ways the album Chinese Democracy that he made, and it was these songs he had worked on, and I'd listen to the record, but when you start to play the songs as a player, you really discover everything under all the layers in the song. There's a lot of layers, but really kind of like how you hear it, how I'm hearing the songs, are maybe a little bit different. And we, I know when we went into rehearsals, we wanted to really like own that. Like, this is going to be what we're doing. This is what we're doing.
I didn't have anything really to do with that. It's like they stepped to songs on Chinese. You know, they asked which ones are you interested in, you know, doing and stuff, and they stepped to that on their own. They started working with Frank because they had their own way of working with the drummer and working with the rhythms, and you know, kind of picked up the tempo on some of the old songs a bit, and things like that, and get their communication working. So you know, they spent a good while at that on their own.
You made reference to drumming. That reminded me of Steve Adler. Is there any chance that Easy and Steve might join you guys? I mean, I know that Easy already played to you guys. Any chance Steve might join you later in the tour?
No, Steven did join us.
Yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Steven that joined us. I don't, you know,
I'm sorry.
at the same time, I have no idea. I mean, it's when this started, Steven had just had back surgery and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I don't have any idea about that. And with Izzy, that's just something that I can't really describe to say. I don't really know what to say about Izzy. It's like, you know, you could have a conversation and think it's one way, and the next day it's another way. So, and I'm not trying to take any shots at Izzy. It's just, you know, his thing's kind of his thing, whatever that is.
All right. I think it's time to go. I have one last question for you, Axl. The split duties between Guns N' Roses and AC/DC. Are you planning on doing that for quite some time now? Because you're going to go back to
I'll do that
AC.
as long as Angus wants to do it, and as long as you know, and we can make it work. Guns is really supportive about it, and it's a bit radical.
It's pretty radical.
I love that and it's my job. I love that it's my job. I love that Angus is my boss, and it's, you know, singing the early Brian songs, the first couple albums with Brian. It's like those are something else to sing. So it's physically a different animal and another kind of work. And I take pride in doing it, you know. But it's a hard thing. So then after, in its own way. So after this, then there's a few days, and then I'll do another 10 shows with AC/DC. And after that, it's kind of whatever Angus wants to do.
All right. One final question I have to ask you. What do you have to say to the Brazilian fans who are waiting for the show in November? Some of the shows are already sold out. What can they expect? And what special recollections you have of Brazil? You've been there quite a few times.
What we have to say? We're coming.
Yeah, we're coming.
We're coming. We're on the way.
I remember the first time we went there was no internet or anything in 1990 or whatever it was. And
91. Yeah.
91. And going down there and really kind of sort of having an idea, but we'd never been down there before. and showing up at getting into the airport. And I remember the Gulf War started as we were flying. Like the pilot came on there. Oh, really? The Gulf War has started. Like what? And we landed, and it was thousands of kids at the airport. I hadn't seen that. Japan a little bit, but Rio was a whole different thing, and that was our welcome. Like thousands of people, and then thousands of people outside of the hotel. And then we played 2 sold-out nights at the Americana Stadium, and that was...
Yeah, and it was not common for bands at their peak to go to Brazil. That was a very unusual thing, so that was maybe
well, I think it was Globo
that
wanted us to come there, that had talked with our management and stuff about us going there, you know, and we were really glad to do it.
Yeah.
You know, we were excited to do it.
Yeah.
Right, I hope you have a good one there. Wish I had more time, but I think you guys are supposed to be on stage soon.